In the crowded streets of Uyo lived a young man named Kelvin. Kelvin was once an ordinary struggling young man with big dreams and an empty pocket. He had no car, no business, no connection. Sometimes he worked as a bus conductor. Sometimes he carried loads in the market just to survive. But through all the suffering, one person never left his side. Her name was Amara. Amara loved Kelvin with all her heart. When Kelvin had nothing, she stayed. When people mocked him, she defended him. When hunger came, she shared the little food she had with him. Many nights they both slept hungry inside a small one-room apartment with leaking roofs. But Amara always encouraged him. "One day things will become better," she would say. And Kelvin would smile weakly. Little did she know, greed was already growing inside his heart. Let's listen to the story. The days of suffering. Kelvin and Amara struggled together for years. Amara sold fried akara by the roadside every morning before going to work at a small salon. She even borrowed money to help Kelvin start a phone accessories business. But the business failed. Everything failed. Slowly, Kelvin became frustrated with life. He hated seeing rich young men driving expensive cars while he remained poor. One night, after returning from a club where wealthy boys sprayed millions, Kelvin sat outside alone in anger. Then his old friend Bobby approached him quietly. Bobby now lived a flashy lifestyle nobody could explain. Gold chains, luxury cars, designer clothes. Bobby leaned close and whispered, "There are powers that can change your life overnight." Kelvin listened carefully, and that was the beginning of darkness. A few nights later, Bobby took Kelvin deep into a hidden forest shrine outside town. The atmosphere was terrifying. Human skulls surrounded a large fire. Red candles burned slowly. Strange symbols covered the ground. At the center sat a terrifying native spiritualist wearing red feathers and white chalk. The old man stared directly into Kelvin's soul. Then he spoke slowly. "Do you truly want wealth?" Kelvin answered immediately. "Yes." The spiritualist smiled darkly. "Then you must sacrifice the heart that truly loves you." Kelvin froze. Immediately, Amara's face appeared in his mind. For a moment, guilt entered his heart. But greed was stronger. The spiritualist handed him a black charm. "When the time comes, bring her." Days passed. Amara noticed Kelvin becoming cold and distant, but she still loved him deeply. One evening, Kelvin suddenly acted romantic again. He bought her food. He apologized for his behavior. He told her he wanted them to travel together for a surprise business opportunity. Amara became happy again. That night, she wore her best dress and followed Kelvin happily into his car. As they drove farther from the city, Amara became nervous. "Kelvin, where are we going?" Kelvin forced a smile. "Trust me." Finally, they stopped near an abandoned forest road. The atmosphere suddenly became cold and silent. Amara looked around fearfully. Then she noticed strange people standing among the trees holding fire torches. Her heartbeat increased immediately. Slowly, she turned toward Kelvin. Tears filled her eyes. "Kelvin, what is happening?" Kelvin could not look at her face anymore. But greed had already destroyed his humanity. That night, the woman who suffered beside him became his sacrifice, and the forest echoed with her painful cries. After Amara disappeared, Kelvin pretended to mourn publicly. He even cried during search efforts. But secretly, his life changed overnight. Money flooded his account mysteriously. He opened businesses, bought luxury cars, moved into a massive mansion. People admired him everywhere. Social media became filled with his expensive lifestyle. Champagne, clubs, women, luxury vacations. People called him the young billionaire. But Kelvin never knew that Amara's spirit had not rested. Exactly 40 days after Amara's disappearance, the nightmares began. Every night at exactly 3 a.m., Kelvin heard soft crying inside his mansion. At first, he ignored it. Then one night, he woke suddenly. Standing beside his bed was Amara. Her white dress was soaked with blood. Her eyes were dark and empty, and her voice sounded broken and painful. "Why did you kill me?" Kelvin screamed loudly and ran out of the room. But the spirit followed him everywhere. Inside mirrors, inside his cars, at the swimming pool, at parties. Sometimes only he could see her. Other times, people around him suddenly became frightened and asked, "Who is that woman standing behind you?" Kelvin slowly began losing his mind. Things became worse. Kelvin's businesses started collapsing mysteriously. His expensive cars crashed one after another. His body became sick. Doctors could not explain the strange wounds appearing on his skin every morning. Then came the whispers. Everywhere he went, he heard Amara's voice. "You traded love for blood money." One night during a party, Kelvin suddenly began screaming uncontrollably. Guests watched in horror as he pointed toward an empty staircase. But Kelvin was seeing Amara walking slowly toward him, holding the engagement ring he once promised her. Her voice echoed loudly inside the mansion. "You used my love to buy your destruction." Then all the lights went off. Kelvin became completely broken. He stopped sleeping, stopped eating, stopped going outside. The once proud millionaire now hid inside darkness like a hunted animal. One rainy midnight, neighbors heard terrifying screams from inside his mansion. When security guards forced the door open, they found Kelvin crawling on the floor, crying heavily. He kept shouting, "Amara, forgive me, please forgive me." But nobody else could see the horrifying spirit standing before him. The next morning, Kelvin was found dead inside the mansion, his face frozen in absolute terror. And beside his body was Amara's old photograph covered in blood. All his wealth disappeared shortly after his death. The mansion became abandoned, and people say that till today, strange crying can still be heard from the building at night. Powerful moral lesson: never betray the people who truly suffer with you during your hardest moments. Love, loyalty, and sacrifice are priceless gifts. Any wealth built on betrayal, bloodshed, or evil will eventually destroy the person who seeks it. Quick money can buy luxury, but it can never buy peace, because the cry of innocent blood never remains silent forever. Ending for video narration. If this emotional horror story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful African horror stories, emotional life lessons, and terrifying supernatural tales. Another heartbreaking story is coming soon.